wondering how I got into this mix.
Hello everyone, thanks so much for your patience. John Smith, I'm coordinating the panels here, and it's my great pleasure to kick off this modality in the Envision experience, which is really a chance to kind of get a fishbowl look at some people who are doing really important work and play in some fields that are clearly important to you because you're still here. This panel is on resilience and incidence. So thinking about how permaculture can take on a political aspect. And it's going to be moderated by my good friend Brian Arturo, and I am looking forward to a really rousing, inspiring conversation. Thank you very much. Give a round of applause for these beautiful people.
Hello everyone. All right, so I think it's time to get to know all of the panelists. So I'd love to just open it up, pass the mic down the line, and feel free, panelists, to introduce yourselves and just a few brief sentences about your work, how you interact with politics and permaculture, and I'll pass the mic.
Hello everyone, my name is Derrick Broze. I spoke here yesterday, some of you may have heard me. I'm a freelance investigative journalist based out of Houston, Texas. I'm also the author of a few different books that explore the intersections of spirituality and anarchism. So I'm actually an apolitical activist, so that's what I'll be bringing to the table. How we can focus on solutions including permaculture, but without working within the traditional systems and opting out of them instead of supporting them.
So my name is Brian Arturo. I'm moderating this panel, but I'm a community organizer in Southern California and bridge people into the world of permaculture and starting new businesses that have a positive impact.
Hello everyone, my name is Ahmed. I'm from Mexico. We work in many projects. Right now we're doing the Reconstruye Mexico, which is an initiative that is trying to create community, taking the opportunity and the responsibility to rebuild those communities after the earthquakes of the last September.
Mi nombre es Arnon. I'm from Mexico, also with Ahmed. I'm a political activist. I've been working for Mother Earth for the last 20 years, more than 20 years, through politics, passing laws, bills, making projects in a governmental level in Mexico City and surroundings. I'm very glad and thankful to be here.
Hello, my name is Joshua Hughes. I'm from Oregon originally. I've been here in Costa Rica for the last 11 and a half, 12 years. I got engaged in politics in Portland during the Bush years, so I was an anti-war activist, and it kind of took over my life, and I couldn't just be a normal business person anymore. So I got engaged in political activism around the anti-war movement, and it turned into so much more so quickly that it became our farm project here. And now we run a bunch of my friends. We run a collective, several collective farm projects, and a lot of different projects. So I like to engage politics through normal, everyday business actions and how we treat the work.
All right, so in this changing political climate, in the midst of global weirding, permaculture is super, super important. And so I want to open up this conversation and see, the question for you all is, what small-scale shifts can be made by people like us that could lead to larger-scale policy shifts?
Small. So we started on a little piece of land here ourselves. I got engaged in regenerating topsoil, regenerating some forests. I think watershed maintenance, these things connect us all, the commons. So I got down to the basics that were kind of things where people weren't arguing anymore. We need to fix the water, we need to fix the mountains, we need to build something that's worth sustaining. So I think that permaculture came into my life late. I was already doing this activism before. Permaculture helped me explain this to people easily. I could hand them a book or 10 instead of explaining my theories and how our friends are working. So permaculture helps expand this out, makes it understandable. There's lots of literature out there. And my goal is to get as big a collective as we can to decentralize the ownership of land, to decentralize the ownership of water in all our commons. So through local small business actions, we've been doing projects. It's not gigantic or anything, but we have 3 different farms now, and we're going to have another few in the next few months. and we have a distribution business we're doing now, and it's turning into so many things. But activism in the business world and the small business world is fun. It's agile. We're having a good time. Black Sheep, regenerative resource management. There's a bunch of us here. We're engaging our political desires now in the simple things like watersheds, and soon enough bigger things, bioregionalism, and I believe we should be coordinating every time we meet any one of these events into a political party and a force. And we saw what happened last year with Bernie Sanders. It was action. It wasn't him that impressed me so much as the millions of people that did things together and raised little bits of money. That's possible. We can see that now. The internet allows that. So our little small ideas can network together, and we can focus and take political power back in our state by state, region by region, with all of our energy instead of just counting on our locality nowadays. So there's really dynamic ways to employ this. So I'm enjoying it, and I'm really excited to see so many people here for politics. It seems like most people run from this word, but I think that's by design. They make the language complex and shitty and dark. The more they talk shit on television, the less we vote. And they know that. That's why they do that. So never forget, 270 million Americans did not vote for Donald Trump. 60 million are sorely mistaken, but 270 million of us did not. So it's not a majority. There's a majority of people in the world that most are poor, actually. They never get heard from. But we're in unique positions in our society right now, where we can apply energy, we can use leverage like permaculture. So I'm using permaculture as a great lever on several important issues that I feel important.
Well, I'm from Mexico City. I'm also living in Tepoztlan. It's a magical town nearby. But in Mexico City, like 20 years ago, it used to be one of the dirtiest cities in the world. Nobody wanted to live there. It was very polluted, the skies very unsafe. And they told me, why don't you go to your eco-village? We're part of this eco-village in nearby Mexico. Why don't you go there, find your food, and stay there? And I said, no, I want to live in the city and transform it. I know we can do changes from within. And that's when I started working many years ago. We started doing a lot of small groups, reforestation groups, and then we started making groups to collect garbage. And then we got into a little bit into politics. And then we created in Mexico the Green Party. And then we got into office. And we got to change several things, Obviously now the Green Party in Mexico is rotten. The Green Party went totally to the right. We had to flee the party. But we managed to civil society, and we managed to do a lot of things. Like one small thing, I love to bike. Since I was a kid, I bike, and I say, how come I could not bike in Mexico City? And then we started doing these small groups, biker groups, every Wednesday. We started bicycling. And then this group started growing. And then we were thousands of people bicycling on Wednesdays. So then we got engaged, also with the local government, with the mayor. And we started saying, hey, we want bicycle paths. Hey, we want a bicycle lending system. Hey, we want spaces for bicycles. And then we got more engaged with the office, with the local authorities. And then we managed to get some people into office like me. I was elected as a hippie in Mexico City. And I managed to, I had the opportunity to be in the environmental committee. And from there we started changing laws. In Mexico City, nobody biked. Like 15 years ago, there was less than 1% people bicycling. Now we have more than 10% of people bicycling in Mexico City. And it was done through us. People like you, like me, like the people that are here, that have a dream. And we believed in it, and we engaged also into politics. We didn't just stay in our festival. We have to go out. We have to go out and share that heart with other people, with people that are maybe very different than us. But they have a heart also, and if you can get to that heart and transmit it, you can achieve lots of things. In Mexico, we not just have achieved the bicycling systems, we have achieved lots more. We have now the waste separation management system. We're separating in 4 categories in Mexico City. We have the biggest compost plant on earth. We're composting more than 2,000 tons of organics every day. And we started by 10 tons. No, and it's being stubborn, having the heart, and having the intelligence and the strategy. We have to go out and be smarter. We have to use the tools that the system has, but use them with the heart. So you can go broader and go out and make a bigger impact.
That's amazing. It's hard to keep up with these guys. Definitely, there's many examples that we can think about. For me, in my experience, when I was living in Canada and came back to Mexico after finding the word and taking a couple of PDCs, and I got to the land and I wanted to plant, I wanted to grow food, and I went to everyone to learn how to do it and to do it with us. So I started to understand how the agricultural system was working in my state first. So I understood that I have a very specific method, that I have a very kind of complex language, and most of the people there had a very specific idea inclined to grow food, to do it faster, quicker, and cheaper all the time. And what I tried to do is to get funding by the government using one idea, the Trojan horse. And it was just get inside, mimic a little bit, and then just bloom. And what I did was going talking with people, hey, you should hear about permaculture. Permaculture is fantastic. It will change the world. This is what we do. So at a point I got a call, and a guy tells me from the government, there's something happening, and there's gonna be some money towards people that have a multidisciplinary team working on the field. So you need to have people that is taking care of the people, like medicine people. You need also people that goes into social movements. You need people that knows how to grow food. And you need a lot of ideas together to create a project with that people. So it was perfect for us because we work in all the levels in permaculture. And from a point where the government never heard the word, they started something that was called the productive chain of permaculture. And we started in 3 years working in 14 municipalities, growing food, growing gardens, starting to give workshops. We started only with 33 people, and after 3 years, we were around 7,000 people planting food. And right now, we have one of the biggest communities. It's 52 families that they plant oregano, and they sell oregano oil everywhere. And it's fantastic because it's pure organic, and they sustain 7 different towns with that economy, and that's great.
So we're talking about small scale. So I started this by saying that I'm a political activist. I do think since the panel is on politics that it's important to define that, because as Josh mentioned, like it's a word that people sort of shy away from and run away from, especially I think in these communities, people are afraid of manifesting the things that they don't want to hear about and things like that. But politics is literally the everyday interaction between human beings. You know, we typically think about it with politicians, people in government, but that's not what it is. It's the way that you interact with other people walking around here and your daily life. So as far as politics goes with government, I consider myself apolitical. But as far as my everyday actions, that's where I vote. I vote with my conversations, I vote with the daily actions that I take. And, you know, I try to emphasize localization, decentralization. And Houston, where I'm from, focused a lot of my efforts in the last 8 years or so on working with and helping build decentralized community farms, specifically in Houston's 5th Ward, where is food deserts, the poorest parts of Houston. And also there's a pretty big movement in Houston of bringing refugees into Houston and helping, teaching them permaculture, teaching them sustainable skills, showing them how to grow their own food, and then providing that income for them. And it's also been mentioned a few different times about using small businesses to achieve change. And I really think that that is more emblematic of where change can actually happen. Each of us as entrepreneurs, as free, beautiful people, can actually just go out there and start doing these things. You know, you kind of mentioned the political party getting co-opted. I think that's what's going to happen every time you put your energy into these systems. You know, it may take a little while, but after a while, the system is designed to stunt the growth of us. If you spend your whole life putting effort into that and make some incremental, important changes here and there, but overall, the larger system doesn't change, you know, and a lot of you here maybe put efforts into Bernie Sanders or some other politicians, and I think it's just important to emphasize that politics is actually an everyday thing. It's really what you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. Another concept that I've tried to employ that it can be applied to permaculture as well as many other topics are called freedom cells, and if you guys can hear this, please write down or pull out your phones and look at freedomcells.org. That's CELLS.org. And freedom cells are basically just small, decentralized, mutual aid groups of 8 to 10 people who come together for common goals, common purpose. Maybe you all get together and say you want to teach each other permaculture. It's leaderless, decentralized, share knowledge, share skills, and maybe you decide your freedom cell is going to go build a garden today, or you're going to go plant fruit trees around, and you're not waiting for permission or asking for permission, you're just doing it. And the idea being that once we start forming these small groups, other groups start to form around, and we start to form this larger network. The website itself is just a digital way for you to connect and find people that are near you, 5 miles, 10 miles, 50 miles. It'll show you their interests, their skill levels, with the goal of connecting digitally and then building these groups in the real world. And I've been spending the last 2 years promoting this all over, and we're seeing a good amount of growth in that. And I really think that that is where, whether we're talking about permaculture or really any other area, I think that is where we should focus our energy. And it has been mentioned as well that we can't just, or I believe, I would emphasize and request that we don't just come here to only enjoy the beautiful jungle and only enjoy the music and then go home back to what we were doing before, because then this is just, I tend to call it a circle jerk. Because, I go to a lot of conferences like this, and it feels nice to get paid and fly out and get a little ego stroke, but that's not why I'm here. I want to change the world, and I think that it's going to come through us, not politics. I just want to emphasize it. Not government politics, but people politics is what it's like.
Awesome. I'm loving these stories. So does anyone else have any stories that they want to share around, maybe there's success stories, or maybe there's stories that are especially applicable to us as a movement, us as people, around, how to change your local or regional community?
So here. Well, the farm that I mentioned, it was called the Last Organic Outpost, and it was originally the vision of one hard-working dude who worked like 60, 70 hours in the factories and then spent all his evenings building up this industrial wasteland and turned it into a sustainable 5-acre farm where we just had everything from, Houston's climate's kind of like this, so we can grow papayas, we can grow mangoes, we can grow, food through the winter, and it became this small little place that a few local activists would come to on the weekends, to being this massive place that we're producing just tons and tons of food without any help from the city. In fact, we were ignored from the city for a long, long time, for about 5 or 6 years. And then once it became sustainable and was starting to turn a profit, that's when they came knocking and actually tried to prevent some of the growth and wanted to get their foot involved and get their hands in there. But I do believe it was a good example of how people coming together, again, with an intention, finding a need. There's this part of Houston that has no grocery stores or anything close to good, local, organic, healthy food, and then all of a sudden you build this in this community and they have access to it. You have people come, it wasn't just all the activists coming from elsewhere. It was the local community coming there every weekend, getting fresh greens, fresh food, learning skills, and there was workshops going on there. They would bring school kids there on buses to learn all about it. It just became very much a community center. And just as far as that goes, I would advise, if you're going to build a garden, build somewhere where there's a little stage where people can play music too. You put music and gardens and food together, and people are going to show up.
What you were saying, sometimes you can engage positively with government politics. And maybe in a local level, maybe not in a national level, but it's a place where you live. It's your surroundings, it's your people, it's your taxes, it's your money. You should be able to at least try it at a local level and get into office also. In Mexico City, we managed to put this urban garden, urban farming, and we established it as a program. So it's quite different when you have this support of your taxes, because it's your money working to a positive program, no? Mexico, we started this program, we started with one urban garden. With urban farming, and then we established it as a Mexico City local government program. And now we have more than 2,500 urban gardens in the city. Because we have the support. We even got to hire permaculturists from Cuba. We hired them as a Mexican city government and brought them, and that helped a lot. And that's a big tool because you have the money, you have the people, you have the. So sometimes you should try at local politics because you should be in office. Why aren't you like running and taking decisions of where our money goes?
You guys are capable of making your own decisions. I don't ever want to be in charge of anyone else.
No, it's just it's decisions for Earth, not for the common good. It's just being it's a tool, not letting yourself being used.
Yeah, I agree. I've been back and forth on that, paying attention to politics for years. After George Bush did what he did in 2004, I lost faith in voting ever mattering. But what matters is that we engage all the time, like we were saying. Politics is a daily action. It's how we treat our community. But it's also how we deal with the big problems in our community. And charity is not working to help people in our... We have, I think, 24 to 35,000 kids die of diarrhea every day. Or diarrhetic heart disease, like diarrhea. Unclean drinking water. So, like, charities, churches, these models, like, it's not working. Politics is a chance for us. We have a chance, maybe the first time in history, modern history, when there's a union of people that can affect private power. And I think we forget that we allow people to earn wealth. We allow people to store it up. We have systems that protect your wealth from people taking it from you. We have courts that will protect you if someone steals it from you. Let's not forget that. We are allowing this to happen. And for some reason, we've forgotten that. We think that the power owns us. We think that the governed don't have the power. We do. We just don't get engaged. And when we didn't get engaged the last few years, the Donald Trump thing is happening. It's happening all over the world again because we're not paying attention. We're walking away from our only chance in history to check private power, to check private tyranny, top down only. Gobbled the earth up really quickly. Industrialism hasn't been around that long. Capitalism is a revolution in itself. It's not an inevitability. We're not capitalists here. Most of us are not the capitalists. We're the capitalized. The wealth, the old money, the stuff, the old programs that just keep chugging along and own the resources. We're not going to get that back through, well, we haven't. We haven't been that successful doing it one person at a time. We have a chance to unionize, I want to call it government. People want to destroy the UN. Tomorrow you have to rebuild the UN. You're just not going to talk. Like, we need to talk more than ever. We need to implement strategies more than ever. Local politics is about the only place you do act. We only vote for a national thing once every 4 years, one moment. That's it. It's one dot on a piece of paper. Politics is not national. It's all local. The national thing is a popularity contest, and we just had the unfortunate event of a popular person running. Okay? We don't want that. I think there shouldn't be a president at all. That's old king shit. But I don't think that I want to work with my people. And in my group, my friends, we have elected our own internal government people that can help be the conduits to bring our energy and our programs to the world. And as long as we're accountable and we're doing things and it's transparent, I want to empower local representations. I don't have the time to think about every kid that doesn't have enough food but as a group we can make things that do this. We can set up systems. The dirty words like bureaucracy, it's not a dirty word if it's done transparent, open. We have new things coming on. Internet, the phones in everybody's pockets, blockchain technology. This stuff is changing the way we can relate to the greater system around us. So I think that we're going to have to engage like every fucking thing matters right now. The oceans are almost gone. Anarchy on that level is not working. We have to get control. It's not good. Topsoil is disappearing crazy. The corporatocracy just moved from community to community and leave sacrifice zones. That's because we're not unionized. We're not working together. We need to communicate right now. And social media is putting us into smaller boxes where we pay even less attention to the greater good. So we need to get better at that right now. And we need to get control of the internet right now. This shit we're on the precipice. We are. We have been for a long time. But it's very real now. So get engaged. Do your own thing. Do your own project. Also, and not or. Get involved in the world politics that's happening. What's going on with your dollars? Where they're going? Do you even use dollars? So I think we have a lot of education. Economics isn't scary or a dirty word either. Money is not a dirty thing. It's being used very, very wrong. So we're going to organize around this stuff and take over all these sections of it. Or we're not. Or I'm just a dreamer and the oceans are gone in 4 years. So, like, I'm not letting that happen. I'm not going to tell my grandkids that we're whales. Not going to happen. So we have to take the local and the national and everything, make it our problem right now.
Yes. No, just one thing sorry. We're talking in the morning, we see it like in 3 levels. No, we're talking about water, no? Because we're trying to restore one river in our country. We have not one single big river clean. All of our rivers are dirty in Mexico. So we're trying to restore this river called Atoyac in the state of Puebla. And we say that we see it in 3 levels. The first level is your water inside. It's your spiritual level. You know, how you work your spirituality and how you flow through it. You know? The second level is your relationship with water. What's your impact on water? What type of soap are you using? What type of shampoo are you using? Do you have a biodigester in your house? It's your personal level, no? Your relationship with water. And the third level is what are you doing towards your rivers? You know what's the river of your bioregion? Have you done something for your river? So we have to be working in these 3 levels. It's not just enough. The spiritual level, it's good, it's part of the process also, but if we're not working in these 3 frequencies, we're losing it. We're not seeing the big picture. And if you live in your eco-village, maybe some years later, the urban sprawl is going to come to you, and you're going to be able to stop it. So you have to be aware of what's going on at a big level, of your personal level, and your relationship with Mother Earth.
Every time it gets harder. So we're taking the story, success stories, and this thing about politics and policies. I'm going to take back a little bit to the point where we see that the language the word is kind of satanic even, or we see it as a really, really bad thing. But what you will find if you start to get involved is that the people working in there, not all of them are corrupted. And most of them are in there because they want to do change. They want to make something happen. They don't know yet how. And that's one of our responsibilities, to come with the right tools and to be like, hey, you don't believe in both and you are working in office. Let's talk about sociocracy. Let's start to plant the seeds to alternative systems. And I was reading yesterday one teachers in Mexico City that was writing a post on Facebook that said, it's time to stop to call us alternative. You don't have an alternative love, or you don't wouldn't like to be the alternative to of someone or something. You want to be the original. So we need to come back to original systems. Those original systems are within us, within the spiritual reality, within our emotional reality, and the way that we engage with the actual systems, it's very, very important for us as a tribe, because we don't know. Sometimes we will be in the exact point, in the exact place to make a big change happen. And I'm going to tell you about an example of it. I started working with permaculture. I found a network that is called Casa. In Spanish will mean the Sustainable Council of the Americas. And it has its world version, which is GEN, Global Eco Village Network. I'm sure everybody has heard of it. If not, look for it, gen.org and casalatina.org if you're interested into traveling into South America and learning about eco-villages and everything related. So I got involved with them, checking emails, starting to get into my local level, first my bioregion, in Casa Hidalgo, which is a state in Mexico, then Casa Mexico. And then it started to meet really cool people, such as Arnold right here. And the earthquake came. Everybody was collapsed emotionally. Things were happening in a very, very dark mood in Mexico. The government started to take it the aid. You know, you were giving for the people to have something to eat, water, and all the aid was being taken by the government to use it during political times, which is happening starting from now. And a bunch of people started to realize social media helped us to connect to that reality and to start to take action. So everything started with a message with Arnold. It was my text on WhatsApp like, hey dude, we should do something about the earthquake. What do we should do? And he's like, I don't know, do something, but do it. That was like the best response ever, because I started to contact everybody else and I created a chat group. And then we were 80 at the next morning. And by 2 days after, we were 450 bio builders willing to connect into working communities. So we knew we needed to organize, we needed to be strategic. We had the knowledge, we had the numbers, we had the force, and we had the moment, the momentum, the very specific time where the opportunity can't be better. And if it wasn't because of Arnold that was there and knew a lot of strategic people around some places, we wouldn't get this far right now. And we are Reconstruye Mexico started working first. We aimed towards Morelos, which is really close to Mexico City, and a nearby state, Mexico State. And by the end of the day, we already had Puebla, Oaxaca, and Chiapas into our database with people working there. And it started to grow. Right now, we've been working in more than 40 communities, 12 of them we have process of bioreconstruction. We started with emergency housing, then we went to applying eco-technologies, filtering water, teaching them how to use what they got to build shelters, creating yurts, a lot of things that we started to do. And right now we are in the moment where we are putting together people that have business, people that are in politics, people that are working bioconstruction, people that do works with medicine, people, pretty much everyone that is related to this mission, to this responsibility of doing and being an agent, a catalyst of change. It's working with us and it's putting a little bit of effort so the movement doesn't die, because we're trying to get the funding. We're trying also to not depend on the funding and work with the tools that we have. And so far has been fantastic, because the communities that are seeing that we were there, and for the first days the people were starting to believe what the government said, that the houses that fell down was because they were made of adobe, of earth. And it wasn't true. It was a complete different story. When we went there, people started to reconnect with that memory, with the memory of the grandfathers and the grandmothers that built it there, that had the place, and they still living in that house because it even went down because they did it properly. They knew how to do it. So we went to that system of memories, and we understand it, and we honor it, and we put it on the table, and we, 15 minutes after having the community dancing, building the mixture that you need to make adobe, to make bioconstruction, everything changes. Nothing is the same again. After that, they realize they're part of the same, and that what they're doing is pure love, pure energy, and pure way to transform the realities. When you give that, it translates into power. The power to believe that it's not about being the system being bad or good. That's part of the whole system. The trick is how you treat them, how you put your Trojan horse in there and make it for the good. Because we designed it. Somehow, in the past, we designed this rotten system. We can change it. We did it. We were going to do it again.
Awesome. So do any of you have any insights about how we can educate people so that we can design better systems as populations, as communities? How can we learn more systems thinking?
I think the answer is what most of us here have mentioned, maybe just in different ways, is the answer is localizing, decentralizing. I mean, Josh mentioned blockchain technology, and that's just one of many exciting technologies that I know is going to be discussed later at other stages. And it's bigger than just cryptocurrency. It's about applying this concept to all areas of our lives, and there's no need for centralized figures anymore, and that includes, I mean, I'm going to say it again, that includes government. And back to Josh's example earlier, when you think of government in terms of this, I just wanted to clarify this just so you guys understand what I'm really saying. I'm not against us establishing us as a community and free people voluntarily coming to go into that, knowing the rules that they are going to abide by being within that community. But that's not what we have. We have people who long ago established themselves as the rulers of the United States or Costa Rica or whatever, and say that even though none of us were alive at that time to agree to that, we're somehow bound to that, and so we have to just go along with those rules. And if you don't, what happens? If you don't pay the taxes, if you don't follow the rules, well, they lock you up in cages. And if you don't smoke the right things or dress the right way or have sex with the right people, if you don't follow the rules, whichever government you're talking about anywhere in the world, it's the state, the institution of the state itself. That's the purpose it serves, is to limit, to obstruct. The exact opposite of what I believe we came here for, is to create, to build. And as far as how to build these systems, there's a philosophy that I like to promote. It's known as agorism, and tomorrow I'll be here going more in depth about it at 10 in the morning. But agorism, briefly, it comes from the Greek word for agora, which is the marketplace. Now, you imagine ancient Athens, people like this, just coming together voluntarily. Like, none of you guys have been forced to be here. You voluntarily came to be here at this festival. You're voluntarily choosing to be here. Nobody's using force against you at this moment. This is literally anarchy in action. It's not chaos like you may have heard in the media. It's free people coming together voluntarily. There's no force involved. There's no violence involved. That's not what we have with government. We have force. We have violence. No matter how we cut it, as they said, taxes, they're our money, but we don't have much say in it. And I want you guys to have say with what you do with your money, even if I don't agree with it. Even if you don't want to invest it in permaculture projects. I'd rather get you there on a conscious level and you agree that this change is necessary than use the instrument of government to force you to do what I think is best. And so agorism is about basically hearkening back to this agora, this ancient Athens marketplace where people were free to come together to discuss political ideas, exchange goods, and just come together without any force, any violence. And the philosophy of agorism takes that concept and it looks at the present situation. And many of us have been taught that our options are either this. You either vote and participate in the system, or obviously you're apathetic and you don't care about things. And we all know that's not true. There are other options, but we're never presented with them. I believe that agorism is the third option. It involves using something known as counter-economics, which basically means opting out of the state system. So counter-economics would be the black and the gray markets. And we see it right here on the beach. You know, these people who are set up, they're entrepreneurs out here, that's agorism in action. They're not asking for permission, they're just choosing to be entrepreneurs. You see it all over Central and South America and all through Mexico. And in the States, it's a lot harder to do that. You know, there's a lot of regulations and barriers to entry for the average worker, and especially the poorest among us, to enter into the marketplace, to create new concepts, whether they're permaculture or otherwise. So the idea then is to, rather than working within their mainstream economy, which was the white market, the Federal Reserve System, the colones, all that, you go to the black and the gray markets to exploit the areas where they say, hey, you shouldn't do that. We'll do it anyways, and do it with free people, do it without licenses, do it without asking for permission. That means our communities keep those funds and that money and those resources. They don't get funneled outwards to other places or to corporations or to governments who are going to mismanage them. They stay in your pockets, which means then you can redirect those resources back into your own community and start building. And I think if you take those concepts and apply with what I mentioned earlier as far as freedom cells, decentralized, localized groups that are building with a larger picture in mind, but starting locally as single groups and then connecting larger, we're going to create a network, and it's already happening. It's taking place, and I hope you guys will be a part of it.
So, I want to open up questions to the audience, but before that, does anyone want to chime in, or are we good for questions? Yeah? Okay.
Just a real quick about the strategy. There's not a recipe of how can we do and achieve change and create global impact, but there are certain steps, and the very important thing is know the system. It's not about spending 4 years in a university trying to learn law and see how it works. No, get involved in it. It is not that complex. Once you start to see it, it's just like a chess game. You first gotta learn it, and then you learn a strategy. And how it goes, you start to become a better person to make strategies. And those are the first steps. But the very beginning, every time you want to go to the world you don't know, but you're curious about, and you want to learn, there's something very important that you gotta do, and it's ask for the assistance of the biggest. That's the earth, that's whatever is in you that you call soul or spirit, and it's always going into the path, so you can work on the 4 levels at the same time. You can't just teach your body or your mind or your soul or your emotions. You have to go and agree with the 4 dimensions all the time, all the time. The earth will give it back. You will understand why things don't happen and why things do happen. And when you start to read that, you will understand that the rhythm, it's about learning how the system will react with your energy. And knowing the next time, when you already know how it's going to react, you have already set it up so the reaction is what you wanted. It's about the bigger wheel, and that's what I would suggest. Understand the system, understand yourself, go on the 4 dimensions, cultivate yourself, and please, please never give up, because everything that ever failed, it creates the biggest gain. Because when the gain happens after a couple fails, it's so big, you won't even be able to take it. It's amazing. So you gotta try it, one and again and again.
So I got involved in my own little small project and really felt empowered, and like you're saying down there, like getting engaged and not waiting for government to tell me what to do, not waiting for these things. But through this, I was sitting in a little beautiful space that we created with our friends and family. And then in comes palm oil to cut down the forest above me and poison my water and kill my fish and children. If I don't have a local, okay, now I got engaged in the small business time, my friends would protect that, but we can't do that to every piece of land around us that goes into my drinking water or the air, or the Fukushimas that happen halfway around the world. We are engaged with these things intimately. And maybe we didn't come here by force, but this game happened throughout history, and having historical perspective on why we are where we're at and the privilege we get. We're going to have moments where we come together and make decisions as a community. Because if this guy above me is going to put poison in my water and we don't have a government, what do? Ask him nicely. What if he keeps doing it? What if my whole community dies of cancer? And there's a war going on against my community at his freedoms, at his expense of his freedom to me. So I had to get engaged and build bigger government with my local friends and family and neighbors. So I'm skeptical of the power of the systems. Anytime power is concentrated, but I'm not skeptical of what people are possible, what we can do. And in our small groups, we make good decisions. And we see people in our community and we interact with them, we tend to make better decisions. We tend to treat them better. We're very disconnected now. There's tons of problems in the social aspect that are creating this problem to begin with. We feel isolated. We feel like no one feels like we do. But when you look at the numbers, most of Americans want change on global climate change right now. Like 75% want it now. It's not a debate at home very much in some places. And politics isn't exactly going out and trying to force other people or trying to change other people. I'm done changing people. I'm done going to my right-wing uncle's house and trying to convince him that he's selfish. What I'm doing is organizing all my friends, and I'm preaching to the choir that's with me, and we're doing it as a team. So we create parallel systems, parallel teams, and our desire deep down is to be in small groups and be in teams and have teamwork happen. We feel best when that's proven, when that's flowing. So I don't know why we can't create good, positive teams and keep ourselves accountable through open, transparent systems and stay legitimate. If you're a good anarchist government is one that would require you to prove you're legitimate and why you should exist. Our government is obviously not, we don't have a government in the United States. The world doesn't have a government right now. We have anarchy for the rich. They do what they want, they don't pay taxes. The middle and lower classes pay for it in a million ways. We have to, the only time the military, or the only time the government shows up is when it has a gun. Or occasionally if you're very poor, you can get a little bit of help. But we don't have any systems right now. I don't even like calling the healthcare system a system in the States. This is anarchy at that level is not safe for the rest of us. So I want to drive that stuff from the bottom up. We have to change those habits, but and right now, we need to do stuff that brings us together and not separates us. In my community, we're under threat from like big agribusiness. And they come in and destroy everything we've done. in an instant by cutting down the forest above me, landslides falling on me. That's real politics right there. And when the guy comes to the meetings, by the way, in our community, and anybody even mentions that landslides are killing the roads, he walks out. Not his problem. So in this country, we're struggling to enforce regulations. I want regulations. If all men were angels, we would need no government. I'm pretty sure we're not all angels. And in my old ways, I was very libertarianist when I was like a young teenager. When I listened to Rush Limbaugh when I was 12. I voted for George Bush in 2000. I changed a lot. What I realized when I thought about the libertarianism, the way I was thinking, is I was born on third, and I thought I'd get a triple. So we have justice to get in the supply chain of history before we can even go on. No justice, no fucking peace. And there's huge chunks of this world that we don't have fucking clean water in half the planet. No water. These issues are serious. And I don't know how we're going to do it individually. Again, the charity model is not working. Us having to pay attention to everything, we can't. We're not even evolved to deal with this stuff. We're evolved to deal with hunting on the plains and stuff right in front of us. You're not evolved to have like an empathy that connects you halfway around the world with someone suffering. That's something we have to do. We have to design into our system right now. And we're doing it. People care. But we have to focus the goddamn energy. We have to focus our international energies right now into these problems. I talk about water a lot. We all deal with water and waste. I think we need a worldwide constitution immediately on protecting water. And if you can't put bad things into water, you can't make the plastics that we're dealing with recycling and not recycling. 5% of the bottles in the U.S. are recycled. It's a liberal dream. We think single use is okay because we're not really fucking listening and not paying attention to the waste stream. We're not paying attention to what's going into our children's water. And we're letting bankers take over Flint, Michigan's water system and destroy billions of dollars of our infrastructure. The last place that these corporate fucks want to do is attack our infrastructure, our commons. You get busy on this. They're taking it all, okay? We don't have much of a chance left unless we get engaged now. Trump taught me one thing. You do what you fucking want, okay? We need to do what we fucking want right now. Don't wait for someone to lead you. We don't need leaders. We have to lead now, right now. Sorry, I'm getting excited. Too much talking.
All right, we have time for one question. So who has that one burning question? Yeah. We got one question, y'all. Okay, can you come up here?
It's a simple question. What do we do?
Okay, so he's asking, what do we do? And I'll sprinkle in a little bit on top of that question of, let's say I wanted to get involved in local policy changes or local government, regional, national, what are the literal, specific or tangible positions that I might go after? So yeah, anyone want to answer?
What do we do is, I think, was your specific question, right? Well, I think coming to places like this is a good start, but as I said earlier, it depends on where everybody goes after this. Once this weekend ends, that's where the real work really starts. Everybody's going to go home or go on their paths, and if nothing happens in your individual action, then we probably won't see much change. We'll be here next year talking about the same things and watching things get worse. Just a couple of things that I think you can do. The themes I've been trying to suggest, which are decentralized, localized organization, but not only as just autonomous, powerful individuals, but recognizing that you're surrounded by other powerful individuals, collaborating together, working together, actually having conversations. And something else I think that's important, and this I think gets maybe more to some of the more esoteric side of things, is taking a self-assessment, a personal self-assessment of what principles guide you as an individual. I find that many people don't know what a principle is, let alone what principles guide them in their daily actions. So many of us say we want to save the environment, we want to save the waters, we want to stop this or do that, but then you look at your personal habits and maybe they don't align with your stated goals. And when you can see those inconsistencies, it's not about judging anybody or being harsh on yourself, but deciding, do I actually want to achieve these goals I've stated? Do I actually want to change the world for the better? Do I actually want to leave it, better for the 7 generations? Or is it just something you talk about with your friends, something you complain about? It can be that. You find yourself just sitting around complaining and just bitching with your friends, get up and do something else. Get involved, actually start talking to people. And I think even if we're talking about local politics or just politics between people, the emphasis here is localization. I've spent my time banging my head against the wall, going to city council, being ignored by mayors, both as an activist and as a journalist. I've literally had to follow and chase my mayor around around the city of Houston to get her to answer questions, and had myself, blacklisted from events by the Houston police chief for trying to get them to confront various issues ranging from the environmental to police violence. And my experience, and maybe it's just because I'm from a big city in Houston, they're not interested in really achieving, you go through all the official channels, and I've seen people run for office and get turned down. It's a big club and you're not in it. And I just want to emphasize, does anybody here know who John Trudell was? He died a couple of years ago. He was a great radical native activist, very big inspiration of mine. And he just, such a positive example in so many ways, but he said, we can't use the tools of the oppressor to try to change the oppressor's game. They provide you the board game, and they create the rules and say, everything is acceptable within the confines of this, but don't dare think outside of this box. I'm asking you guys to think outside of that box and to start considering different options. Don't just play with the tools that they give you, because otherwise you're playing their game. We need to create our own new game, and I think that is if it's political in the sense of government, it's definitely local. As I said, I've had my own frustrations and limits with that, but they've had some success, and we're coming from different places, so try that if that works. That doesn't mean you can't also go build the community gardens. Get to know your neighbors. Use the decentralized tools that exist, because the truth is we need to know each other. It's not just the environment that's being destroyed. If you live in the United States, there's a police and a surveillance state being built and erected right now. I mean, they're working to strip away your freedoms in many different ways, as well as damaging the Mother Earth. And it's going to happen unless we start getting organized, start working together, and start building these decentralized groups and using the technology that's available. Thank you, guys.
Find something you love and act on it. Everybody has a different answer. Find something you love right now locally and do something about it. That's what everybody's going to. And organize is the boring part of this. We're going to organize around things. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't want collapse overnight. You don't want the system to die tomorrow. Your grandma stars. So build this parallel system by doing something you love right now. If you're already doing that, do more. Organize with your community. I organize with my community, and we put mountains back. We hold them up, put trees and stuff, so we can do this. Let's make something, pick something, anything. And also, a couple of really, I've done this as an adult, talk our friends and family out of doing things like joining the military right now. Don't go and enforce this stuff. Get your money out of the banks. If you work for a big bank, quit tomorrow, Monday, I guess. Really, don't put your energy into these things. Don't be what we don't want to be. Check and see where your 401k is sitting. I bet you as you go to a meeting locally to try and fix water, your 401k is mining the Congo for uranium. Okay? 25 million dead people there in 25 years. So find out where your energy is doing. Money does not sit in the bank. The second that digital thing hits that, it goes and gets invested somewhere. Divest now. Withdraw legitimacy now from them. With you tomorrow. Like, go check and see where your money sits. Check and see where all of your energy is sitting. Don't just not shop at Walmart. Don't invest in Walmart on the backside by doing a 401k that goes to them. Pull that out, put it into a local forestry project, put it into something you love. And there's ways to invest in your own future that are much more solid than the ways they tell us anyway. Inflation and interest and stuff's killing us. So we got to make better decisions right now with our money if we have it. If we don't have it, work with our community right now. Pick something you love.
Definitely, I will add a very nice way to understand what is going on. For that, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand if you come from the United States. Raise your hand if you come from Europe. Raise your hand if you come from Latin America. All right. So you have to evaluate what's your circumstances and what your country is doing to the world, right? And you have to understand what your country is doing to the people, the very people that live in that country. And start to be aware also of the powers that you have for being in that place, for being in that specific economic system, and be responsible with it. It's just power. And if you renounce your power there, you are being neglected. You are teaching the one probably positive opportunity to do something easier that will catalyze change or something good. If by the situation that you are, you can make that tree is planted, that's a good start. But you need to go further. The opportunity that we have in the bioregion that we have are very different in every single situation. So we have to understand that context very, very deeply and to commit to that context. We can teach and be like, yeah, no, let's not give the power to the system, because we will lose our lives not giving the power to the system, or thinking that we're giving power to the system sometimes and being neglected with the powers that we really can handle. So it's about being responsible. Yes, take your money out of the bank, but find something that helps local community. You want to teach the economic system because you'll be dreaming, and we're tired of it. We've been dreaming for more than 4,000 years. It's time to take the power that we have as gods and decide that we can do it differently. We can go to that black market. We can do it to cryptocurrency. We can save a bunch of money, find a local person in some other country or some other place that knows the place and wants to do something, and it's a very strategic point where we can create a project that will rise and bloom and find more people like yourself that is looking for that change and nurture them. That's the way to start. Find the thing that you love, as you said, and not giving the power to the system. It's not about giving them back. It's a Trojan horse. You're putting the rules. You just have to tweak a little bit certain things, but that's your power. And that's a lot. That's all you need to start and be aware of the power that you have. Being aware that every single decision you do when you buy, when you use your money, when you hug somebody, that is the power and that's the responsibility. And the way that you use that, it's the way that you will realize how things can be more productive in the way that will help Mother Earth restoration. Be aware that we are the most biggest and important movement of regeneration in human history. We are that. Be aware of that. Be responsible with that. And please love it. This is fantastic.
Okay, this last, what can we do? I was just thinking of the name of this festival. This festival is called Envision. So I want you all to envision. I think that's a way to reach what we want to do. So I'm going to ask you to just to breathe. We can make a profound breath, a deep breath. Now we're going to close our eyes, just 1 minute. And we're going to try to envision what we want. We want to try to envision the community we want to live on. We want to try to envision the surroundings we want to live on. We're going to see all these kids getting along with all the old people. We're going to see people eating healthy food, having clean rivers, having adobe houses, having solar energy, having happiness, having circles, having love, having songs, having all this harmony. We're envisioning that. Hold that image. See that image. See it in your heart. See that love in your heart. Hold it. Feel the love of that moment. Feel the love of that vision. Where you want to reach, feel it. Feel it connected to the earth, connected to the universe, and connected to you. See that vision. Hold it. And try to reach it. That's going to be your goal. That's going to be your drive. That's going to be your fuel. That love moment, that vision that you're having, try to reach it. And every time that you feel that you're not getting there, get back to that vision. Get back to that moment, to that love. And keep walking, keep going to that vision. Envision love. You can open your eyes.
All right, and with that, we're going to close it out. If you'd like to come and connect individually with any of our speakers, most of them will be hanging out right outside here. That's right with you guys? Cool. So yeah, definitely take this opportunity to connect one-on-one with these amazing speakers and their amazing projects around the world that are making a difference. Thank you all so much for showing up.
I just want to mention real quick, I'm not going to be hanging out here. I have to go to another talk. If anybody wants to hear me talk about journalism and blockchain and how I use crypto to disrupt the media, I'll be at the Superhero Academy. Thank you, guys.